Hi everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel Dr.Sreenivas Medical Concepts and my FB page Dr.Sreenivas Concepts. This is Dr. Sreenivas, neurologist from Andhra Pradesh, India. I am also the medical author of the book Focused Neurology. Today we are going to talk about a very interesting topic, memory improvement methods. Memory improvement methods, especially for students. It could be MBBS students, BDS students, physiotherapy, nursing, allied medical professionals, or for that matter, students belonging to any profession. In fact, even for teachers, because teachers are students for their lifetime. So I'm going to talk about the memory improvement methods, especially for students. There are basically 6 important methods to improve memory. First, sleep. A good sleep of 8 hours per day is an essential requisite for improving memory. Second, repetition. Keep on repeating, read again. If we keep on repeating, structural changes happens in the brain and therefore the memory becomes almost permanent by repetition. Third, visual imagination. You may read from textbooks, you may understand it, you may remember it for some time, but when you imagine it in a visual manner, if you give a visual imaginary to it, you will remember it better. For example, if you go and watch a film, a cinema, you will remember it better for a long time. Why? Because it is visual. Anything which is visual, you will be able to remember it better than just reading from books. Even whatever you are reading from books, you have to visually imagine it. So visual imaginary is very important. Always think the example of cinema, movies, films. You are able to remember it better. Why? Because it is visual. So visual memory. Fourth, mnemonics. Acronyms are very important. If you can make an acronym and then can make a word of it, take the first letter of each word and can make a word of it, you will remember it better. Acronyms, the mnemonics. For example, the C5 root supplies the muscles, biceps, infraspinatus, rhomboids, deltoids, supraspinatus. How am I able to remember it and telling it so fast? Because I have taken the first letter of each and made a word of it. I remember birds. C5 root innervated muscles are birds, BIRDS, biceps, infraspinatus, rhomboids, deltoids, supraspinatus. So if you make an acronym, you will be able to remember it better. Stay focused. Fifth, you should always stay focused. Then only you will be able to remember it better. For example, you are preparing for your exams. Stay focused and keep learning only the subject which is required. Don't try to divert or deviate from what is expected of you, at least before the exams. Because if you deviate, for example, if you go for a movie, the new information, for example, the film story, the music, the songs or lyrics may enter into your brain and displace the memories of the subject which you have just studied. So always remain focused, don't get deviated or diverted. And sixth, analyze. Just don't read and mug up. Analyze. For example, medical students, the upper motor neuron causes a lower facial weakness on the opposite side. But a lower motor neuron facial weakness causes upper and lower part of the facial weakness on the same side. This you should draw a diagram, analyze why it is happening. If you just mug upper motor neuron causes lower facial weakness, lower motor neuron causes upper and lower facial weakness, you will forget it. So you should analyze. Then only you will be able to remember it better. So the method improvement, the memory improvement methods, The memory improvement methods are basically 6. Good sleep, repetition, visual imagination, acronyms, remain focused, and analyze. These are the 6 most important methods of improving memory. Sleep. A person has to sleep at least 8 hours a day. Lot of people may think sleep is a passive process. No, it is an active process. Sleep is an active process. Whatever has happened in the day, it tries to remember it. It is a replay of the day's events goes on in your brain, and then it tries to retain the memories which are essential, and things which are not important, it just fades away. So sleep is very important. When you sleep for 8 hours a day and get up, your brain is fresh. It is willing to acquire information. So when you sleep for 8 hours and you remain fresh and then you start studying, you'll be able to remember it better. Because brain is fresh, it's like a sponge. It is willing to absorb water. As the sponge is willing to absorb water, your brain is willing to take on the new information, acquire new information. So sleep is very, very important to acquire new information and improving memory. And after learning, you should sleep well, because only during the process of sleep the memory gets consolidated. You should have good sleep, then only the memory gets consolidated. I've seen students not reading till the last day, and the last night they start studying, being awake without sleep. How can the memories get consolidated? Their performance will not be good. So good sleep is required even after learning, because sleep is the phase wherein your memories get consolidated. So sleep is required to acquire new information. It is akin to a sponge absorbing water, so it is willing to take on new information. And after taking new information, you need to sleep to consolidate your memories. So sleep is very, very important, very essential to improve memory. Second, repetition. The more you repeat, the better it is. The structural changes happen in the nervous system. As soon as a sensory, visual or auditory or any form of information comes, it goes to the frontal cortex and holds on for few seconds. It is known as immediate memory. From frontal cortex, it goes to the hippocampus. Hippocampus is a structure responsible for short-term memory. As hippocampus is responsible for short-term memory, amygdala is responsible for memory concerned with emotions, especially for fear. So from frontal cortex, it goes to the hippocampus. Hippocampus is the main structure for memory. It is the place where the short term is converted into long term memory and then goes to the lateral temporal cortex. So it's like a file transferring information from short term memory to the long term memory. So by repeating engrams form, they become permanent. The more you repeat, the more structural changes take place and more permanent the memory will be. If you don't repeat it, the memory is just temporary, transient, because only functional changes occur. Structural changes don't occur. The more you repeat, the more the structural changes. The less you repeat, the less the structural changes, more of functional changes. So you want the memory to be permanent, remember it better, the more you should repeat so that the structural changes occur. So when it goes to the hippocampus, short-term memory is converted to long-term memory. How is it converted? Glutamate gets released in the synapses. Synaptic plasticity takes place. So the more you repeat, the more you use your brain, the stronger the stimulus. You use it or you lose it. That is synaptic plasticity principle. The neuronal plasticity principle is that you use it or you lose it. The more you use it, the more structural changes, the more you remember. If you don't use it, and you don't give much importance to it, it's not going to become a memory. You're not going to remember it. So you use it or you lose it. So you have to use it. Once you start using it, new synaptic connections form and existing connections get strengthened. We have the glutamate, NMDA and AMPA receptors. AMPA only short acting, but when it goes to the NMDA, by repeating again and again, the NMDA receptors are activated. Structural changes happen, protein synthesis happens, and then it becomes a permanent memory. So the more you repeat, the more your memory improves. In fact, by repeating either to yourself or to your friends, or by telling the students in the form of teaching, the more you teach, the better it is, the better you remember, because you're repeating it. That's why teachers, over the years of experience, they remember, they have good memory, because they keep on repeating it by talking to students and explaining to students. So the more you repeat, the more your memory improves. So sleep is very important. It's an active process for consolidating memories and to absorb new information. Repetition is important. Third is visual imaginary. You should immediately link to a visual picture. Someone says femur, you immediately think it's a long bone. Incus malleus stapes, you should think it's a short bones. So once you convert it into a visual form, you'll be able to remember it better. You try to enact it in a visual form. Someone says like words like hospital, patient, doctor, epilepsy, unconsciousness, treatment, gratitude, sweets, recovery. If these are the words, you try to enact the scene, you try to visually imagine, connect all these words and start imagining, visual imagination and enacting the scene. So these words you can visually imagine. A patient goes to a hospital where a doctor is in the OP chamber. The patient gets epilepsy, becomes unconscious. The doctor treats, the patient recovers, and he gets gratitude and he starts giving sweets. So when you start imagining as the patient walking into the hospital, meeting doctor, getting unconscious because of epilepsy, doctor immediately loading with phenytoin or phosphenytoin, giving it immediately, person recovers, he gets gratitude, he calls up his parents, and then they come up and give the doctor sweets. Once you start imagining in a visual manner, you will remember it. So always you should imagine it and convert it into a visual form. Verbal mnemonics. As I said, acronyms are important. For example, the C5 innervated muscles, rhomboids, deltoids, supraspinatus, infraspinatus, you'll get confused, you'll forget it. Take the first letter and try to make a word of it. Birds. Birds are the ones which fly, but here birds I'm using so that I remember. I will never ever forget the C5 innervated muscles. Even if someone asks me in the sleep, I'll be able to tell. Why? Because I know C5 innervated muscles are birds. B for biceps, I for infraspinatus, R for rhomboids, D for deltoid, S for supraspinatus. So I remember it. Make an acronym of it. The memory gets improved. You'll be able to remember it better. And then in the verbal mnemonics, always try to make a narrative story in a sequential manner. For example, vegetarian food, sleep, exercise, health, patient, doctor. Make a narrative story. They are in bits and pieces. Try to join them together and make it a narrative story. You'll be able to remember it better. For example, in this case, the doctor advises the patient to take vegetarian food, have good sleep, exercise regularly, and then only he'll have good health. So if you join all the dots together and make a narrative story, you'll remember it better. So always make a narrative story. Stay focused. Minimize interference. Don't get diverted, don't get deviated. Stay focused on the study material. I've seen some students going for picture just to relax before the exams. No, that's not the way. If you go and watch the picture, the movie, story, lyrics, song, everything will enter into your brain and displace the subject you are having already. So always stay focused. Understand and read. Just don't mug. Understand and read. Analyze. As it said, upper motor neuron 7 nerve causes lower facial weakness. Lower facial motor neuron weakness causes upper and lower facial weakness on the same side. You should know the explanation, draw the diagram and try to understand why UMN facial palsy causes lower facial weakness, why LMN facial nerve palsy, Bell's palsy causes both upper and lower part weakness. Analyze it, understand it, read it, analyze it. You will remember it better. If you just mark upper motor neuron, lower facial weakness, lower motor neuron, upper, lower facial weakness, you are not going to remember it. You may vomit out in the exam, but you are not going to remember it forever. So to improve your memory, you have to analyze and read. Just for the sake of completion, these are all about the healthy ways, the memory improvement methods. But we have seen in disease states like Alzheimer's dementia, the acetylcholinergic level goes down and we give cholinergic drugs. So acetylcholine is probably a very important neurotransmitter to enhance memory. The repetition, I can reiterate, I can emphasize the importance of repetition in enhancing and improving memory by a law known as Ribot's law of memory. According to the Ribot's law of memory, the remote past memories are relatively preserved in preference to the new memories. The remote past memories are relatively preserved in preference to the new memories. What does this indicate? The remote past, they keep on repeating it, they keep on repeating. Once they have kept on repeating it, it has become a structural part of the brain. Structural changes have occurred, synaptic plasticity has occurred, protein synthesis has occurred. So it has become engrams, part of the system. It cannot be erased, it cannot be abolished. Whereas new memories, they're not just repeating it, so they're forgetting it. So according to the Ribot's law of memory, the remote past memories are better preserved in preference to the recent memories. This again goes to show the importance of repetition in memory improvement. So these are the 6 cardinal points to improve memory. The sleep, at least 8 hours a day. Repetition, the more you repeat, the better you will remember it. The visual imaginary, you convert it into a visual form, because visual imagination is always remembered better. Always try to use mnemonics, acronyms. Remain focused, don't get diverted, and always try to analyze. So these are the 6 important points by which you can improve your memory. And I wish all the students, irrespective of their profession, follow these important 6 methods and improve your memory and come out in flying colors. I really enjoyed giving this lecture. I hope you have also enjoyed listening to my lecture. If you have any suggestions or comments, please post on to my YouTube channel. But please like and subscribe my YouTube channel, Dr. Sreenivas Medical Concepts, and my FB page, Dr. Sreenivas Concepts. Thank you. Bye.